Willie D Live.
You out here breaking websites and, you know, selling out arenas and all kinds of, man, what's going on? Like, you know, I mean, I know you're a pretty successful brother, but man, you done turned it up. You turned it all the way up.
Yeah, man. People done found out. So that's the best thing. I'm new to them. I'd rather be new than old.
Yeah. Yeah, that's wild, man, because I saw the ascension, and it was a gradual ascension. Do you think if you had just popped out the gate and you just blew up right out the gate, that you would be as hungry as you are? Like, 'cause you got a hunger for this game, like, and you putting in that work, and you're very appreciative of your fans.
Very appreciative. I'm gonna say the no's really motivated me. You know, when you hear no so much, and you really believe in your product, that you push through no's. No's give you three things. They grow your tolerance, which gives you a callus to in very tough skin in this industry. It gives you mental fortitude, and then it gives you great creativity. So I think the no's really motivated me more than anything. And knowing that I was legit, whether somebody else knew it or not, I had to prove it, you know. So that's my thing. And then once I proved it, I started doing the other things that they couldn't say no to. You know, like producing other guys who were hearing no, and being very independent. And I think the worst thing about this ascension is that people still don't respect the independence. You know, black people say it all the time. We gotta get our own. We gotta get our own. You hear everybody say we gotta get our own. But then the first thing they want to say, oh, you need a Netflix special, or you need somebody else's special. So get independent to go back into slavery. You know, for somebody else to own your stuff. And then the other part of it is that all these people who are independent now, they want to give that praise to somebody else, and they know that they called me to ask me how to do it, and they watch me and learned how to do it. You'll give me praise in private, but not in public. So, you know, that's the hunger of showing that, man, I'm really not that I'm even comparing myself to everybody else, that I'm really different. I'm not gonna say better, I'm just different, in different mentality. But what can people expect? I come from Houston, the home of the independent artists.
What do you do with those no's, those old no's that are now yeses from particular people who did not respect your grind and didn't respect your talent in past days?
Employ them.
You make your enemy your footstool. Do you consider them enemies? Or do you?
I don't even consider them enemies. It's just they didn't. It's something that I've learned in this business, which is going back to that mental fortitude and growing that callous. Willie, I don't think people are supposed to see your vision, because it's actually your vision. So I'm never mad at them. They didn't see the vision. And a lot of people, I was in a lot of spaces that people didn't even know what to do with me. You know, it's like drafting Magic Johnson. What do you put him? Do you want him to play the 5? Or you want him to play the 1? You want him to play the 2? He can play all the positions, and we're only accustomed to cultivating 5s. So somebody who come from the 1 and can play the 5 is a different monster for these people. I don't knock them for what they didn't know. You know, they just didn't know. And some people, I learned that some people are not brave enough to say when something's not in their wheelhouse. You know, if you are a master of country music, and then you get a country artist who can do country hip hop and country pop and traditional country, and you keep trying to put them in one space, and they're like, well, I'm not growing in that space. Or people who are only used to navigating people that's already hot. You don't know how to really get somebody hot. They was hot when you got them. Or it's like a coach only drafting blue chip players. Are you really a coach? Because these players were already good when you got them. So if you take a bunch of people who you have to teach the game to, and you coach them up and they become great, then you're a real coach. So sometimes in the industry don't know what they want until they see it. And then sometimes by the time they see it, that callus is grown, and I don't want to deal with you. I can do it on my own.
Was Phil Jackson a great coach?
Great coach. He was able to manage the egos of people who didn't know how to play together. They was individuals. So then he grew them together. Even though you still had the standout, that was Mike. And Mike gave everybody around him a different fire because Phil let him be who he is. It's like Steph Curry. Steph Curry's coach, hey man, just go out and shoot from wherever you want to shoot from. You got the green light. And somebody else would have stifled him. Man, only shoot this, only run to the corner. I was talking to Carmelo one time on this show, and Carmelo, I said, man, that was crazy how when you came to the Rockets, they wanted you just to shoot three-pointers. But you lived with the 2-point shot. You get hot with the hitting twos, regular shots in the paint, mid-range jumper, and then you'll fall back and you'll hit a three. But to ask him to just shoot threes and that's it, man, that's not my game. I ain't got hot yet to just shoot threes. So they didn't utilize him right. And sometimes you see people just don't know how to utilize you correctly. And you have to move on to people who can see a different vision, to see a vision for you that's in cahoots with what you see for yourself.
So speaking of basketball, what is your take on Ja Morant and doing the finger guns and all that stuff and him getting in trouble for that?
Immaturity. Yeah. And sometimes because he has a father, and I see this a lot. I asked a guy, he was 60 years old, favorite rapper Tupac. I said, how? What did he say that resonated with you so much, and you probably was 40 when you heard him? Oh man, I just, the life, and some fathers don't know how to be fathers instead of friends. They want to be cool, and I'd rather you just be the old school father and give me the advice that I need, regardless if it's the hip thing to do. Oh man, listen, bro, you are squandering away your opportunity. And certain industries, just because you talented, you hard to deal with. Even in my business, there's some people that's very talented. I just won't deal with them because they hard to deal with. And I know if I think that you hard to deal with, the industry views you as hard to deal with.
Say, man, I was just dealing with something like that. I'm hosting my daughter's 30th birthday party, and I hired this guy, local guy, who's like a phenomenal talent. I mean, like, when you see this dude perform, you're like, you can close your eyes and imagine him on any big stage, anywhere, competing with anybody. He's that good. But this motherfucker is difficult to deal with, and I did not know how difficult he was to deal with until I personally dealt with him. And I heard other people say things about him, so I'm the type of dude, I can give a person a chance, But man, it is absolutely amazing how somebody could squander that type of talent because of their attitude. Won't even fake it long enough to get in the door. I mean, like I know some dudes who have horrible attitudes, and not just guys but girls too, horrible attitudes, but they faked it good enough until they got in the door and got hot and became platinum selling artists, right?
Mm-hmm.
This guy couldn't get there because he thinks that he already got all the record sales. He thinks that he's already played the stadiums and all of that stuff. And so, I hired his ass and fired his ass just like that. Like, bro, I don't like your attitude. I don't like your energy because I'm hosting the party at my house. And I called him, I was like, look, you know what, man? Send me my money back, bro. I don't like your energy, and I don't want that energy in my house. So I absolutely understand where you're coming from with that. Was there a time in your life where you felt unseen, not as a comedian, not as the comedian Ali Siddiq, not as a convict, but as Ali, the person, the human? And if so, what are your thoughts on that now?
All the time. That's even now. It's people will bring up, and I understand why, and they box me in. Mexican Got on Boots is a story that I did, and then I haven't actually did a prison thing until I did the special in prison. Okay, but what 15 years prior to that, I never did anything about prison. And I was on Comic View, I was on Def Jam, I was on Bring the Funny, I was on all these other platforms before I did that. So after that, it's like if that's what they saw, they keep me there. And so you even have people who, because I have been convicted, they don't know if I got my record expunged. They don't know what my situation is. They just see me as that. I remember when I was on Bring the Funny, the Houston Chronicle in the paper said convicted felon is on NBC, and then people had a little uproar about that. A lot of people chimed in on that, like, what are you saying right now about him? My personal friends see me personally. My community, when I'm doing charity work, they see me personally. But everybody else, either I'm a convicted felon or I'm a comic. The two C's. And it's never just Ali the person. But the people who know me personally, or people who see me, or what I'm engulfed in is doing like charity work, they just see me as Ali, and that's how I pretty much prefer it. I'm a normal guy. Like, I don't like people call me Hollywood. I don't like, oh, that's the comedian. That's not my name. My name is Ali Siddiq, and actually my name is Siddiq Ali. So when I just really bite the bullet on that, because I understand people only know what they know, and you'll probably never get to know me personally because you see me in those boxes. And the people who don't see me in those boxes, they get one hell of a person, when they break it down. If they ever had a personal conversation with me about how my mind works and how I think about anything. It's like to run into, it's like you, DL, now, I never thought I would have a great relationship with David Banner. Like, I know his government name. You know what I'm saying? We on a personal level. Bill Bellamy, and then my family. I'm not Ali Siddiq to my family. I'm just Siddiq.